So we got a letter today after we came back from, we went over to Publix to pick up the ingredients that Michelle wanted. She wanted to make a special dinner. And she made a lasagna. I think it was lasagna soup. And it was really good. But on the way back, she actually made it because our friends in Nashville that we went to go visit, they made it for us, all organic. And Michelle wanted to try to duplicate here at home. She did a great job. And we had invited a friend over that we haven't seen since before Christmas. So really cool, really fun, hung out, had a good time. And we ended up just enjoying the evening. But this was after we got back, okay? And got a little bit of a dog walk situation going on. But this was after we got back. And when we got back and we approached the door, there was a letter inside the door. And the letter was a letter that we were waiting on. Interestingly enough, this letter, we have about 30 days to respond. And you don't want to delay, because the longer you delay, the higher the price is, the more expensive it'll be. So this letter is our renewal letter for our apartment lease. And this is something that we have been anticipating and planning on for a while now. Interestingly enough, we actually requested information weeks ago about what to expect, and never really got a response until now. And the response that we received, honestly, in my opinion, par for the course. And basically what it boils down to is it's a game. It's a game. If anybody is going to sit here and admit that it's a game, and it's a game that's being played, it's going to be me, okay? Because I've told you guys about this for the longest, okay? And I believe that the landlord here is playing a game, and they have to. Come here. So I got Max out here with me, and he was telling me he really needed to go for a walk. Hey, he's telling me he really needed to go for a walk. So we're out here, and I've got about 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag here. But he kind of gets that way when we have company. He gets excited. Hey, over here. But basically, we considered the possibility of relocating. But I got to tell you guys, I'm not entirely excited about the risks, the inherent risks of doing that. Reason being is because relocating would put us in a situation of renting from a private investor, private owner, possibly, more than likely, rather than a large company. And the reason why this isn't entirely exciting for me is because of the current financial situation of the general mass of the overwhelming feel that I'm getting from the available resources about the state of the economy. And here we know that there's ample vacancy. Okay, this is going to come into play with the pricing and negotiations here. But there's ample vacancy. Therefore, in the event of some unforeseen circumstances, odds are we would be relocated relatively easily. We've already experienced instances of issues requiring maintenance and repair, and they've been really, really good as far as taking care of that. However, what I don't want to do is unnecessarily put my family in a bad position, all for the potential to save maybe a few $100s a month, maybe a couple $100s a month, all for the ability to have a house, which we wouldn't own, we would only rent. But if the owner of that home, the investor, the landlord, isn't financially sound and or of the same caliber of customer service, then we could potentially find ourselves in a far worse situation if, for instance, we had some sort of plumbing situation or HVAC problem or in need of a new roof or whatever it may be, given the current state of the economy, the Florida housing market, the challenges that Florida homeowners face, rising insurance costs, property taxes, HOA fees and assessments, the list goes on and on. But these are all things that we have to weigh in consideration for the decision and choices that we plan to make as far as what we're going to do for the next 12, possibly longer than 12 months. This will be our second renewal, as we did our first renewal last year, 2023. 2024, we would experience our second renewal. And I think this plays a part in the apartment landlord, property management owner company and their choice and decision on the options made available to us. But in part, this consideration includes relocating, which I would prefer not to do, but I also don't want to, nor can I necessarily afford to pay an exorbitant amount of money to stay somewhere when I feel like we're being gouged on the price to stay here, the rent, our cost of living, which would have a huge impact on our budget and overall quality of life. Unfortunately, we now have to make the choice, the determination, the foreshadowing and prediction and future telling of what we think is going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months. And this is a precarious situation that they've put us in. And either way, this is what we have in front of us that we now must pick and choose and decide which side, as we approach this fork in the road, that we are going to go down. If that makes any sense. Now, moving to another city would potentially introduce new challenges and new opportunities. Part of that being the content creation. And we do like places like Colorado and places like that, which is kind of strange because, we chose to move and live at the beach. So then it's like the choice that you would pick and choose to make moving forward would be polar opposites of going somewhere that's much colder, snowing all the time. We do like the scenery there. We do like being out west. Don't necessarily love the politics of it and a lot of other things that come with it. So I can't necessarily say that would happen. But nonetheless, perhaps maybe that could be a gift in terms of content creation. It could also be a curse. Interestingly enough, I think we're experiencing that right now. And we saw some police activity over here earlier today, only because this land to my left has been cleared. They've begun clearing this land out. And the police were probably here called because of these posted signs for no trespassing. And as you can see, the equipment behind me, we got a Kubota SVL 75-3. And so that one's going to take down the brush. We got a Bobcat. We got this trailer. It's got this gooseneck here with some other attachments on it. And more signs posted here. No trespassing, which I saw these popping up before we took off for Christmas. But here we are. And they have gotten underway with the work that they're going to be doing here. And essentially that's the gift and the curse. The gift being improvements and possible new businesses and growth for the area. The curse being, unfortunately, the situation with the police present, managing and mitigating the homeless situation. Hey, that was here. And this used to be a much more heavily wooded area before they cleared out some of these trees. And this was, for lack of better words, many folks' home. The gift for us is growth in business, the curse being their displacement, although technically they're not legally really supposed to be here. So regardless of that, it's still a challenge that we have to deal with and manage. And somebody has invested millions and millions of dollars into buying this property and this real estate for the sole purpose of building a business, a profitable business, theoretically. And they're not in the business of allowing people to just squat on their land free of charge. But I do need to be careful of what I say, because there's been some recent activity in regard to YouTube and their disdain for my content, and suppressing my content, and shutting down my audio on other videos, and other problems that I face on the platform, and recent videos actually being pretty much demonetized altogether because YouTube doesn't approve of the message and the content that I bring all the time, and advertisers find suitability issues with the content that I bring, therefore reducing the ad revenue associated with the video to pretty much nothing. And YouTube basically just kind of giving me the finger and not approving of what we share here. Ultimately, the truth. Something's wrong with sharing the truth, unless that truth aligns with their agenda and their propaganda, which you guys know me. I'm not gonna tuck my ears back and tuck my tail between my legs to appease them. So I guess I'll just have to keep making content without getting paid, because I'm not gonna change that. Michelle has modified her upload schedule. She's not posting as much as she used to. Hey. He's then caught the scent of something. She's not uploading as much as she used to. And it's the start of the year. So, we got to get back into the groove and get back into the swing of things. But even she's starting to feel it, much like everybody else. A lot of folks that I've talked to are telling me that they're feeling this economic squeeze and this pinch that's going on. And it's really taking a toll on a lot of folks in a lot of different ways. And I'm not just talking about YouTube, I'm talking about in general, which again leads me to be cautiously concerned and pessimistic about entering into a lease agreement and a contract with a private investor, landowner, and possibly putting my family in a dangerous situation and position for the foreseeable future. Which, yeah, that's not something that I'm interested in doing. So we talked about, to counter these challenges, go ahead and putting my resume out there and getting some job applications out there, put out into the workforce, and seeing if we can get some bites, pick up some opportunities here to try and offset this downward decline in viewership and ultimately revenue and compensation, and expand on our opportunities and solidify our safety net and security for a sustainable short-term and long-term. And yeah, so that too may require some relocation to find better opportunities. As I've mentioned before, maybe you need to relocate to a place that has lower cost of living, but also that challenge comes, you introduce the challenge of finding a place with lower cost of living and lower wages. But I will say that where we live now, the wages will be respective, but the opportunities are few and far between, being in a extremely seasonal tourist town, basically. But be that as it may, we're just keeping our options open. But at the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is let my family down. So I got to make the best choice and decision that's going to be right for them, if that makes any sense. I'm open to suggestions, and I really do appreciate you guys and your input in the comments. So anything you want to share, feel free. Drop it in the comment section down below. But at the end of the day, I don't really know if I want to speculate on the future trends, okay? And what I mean by that is, pretty good, sound good. That Mustang sounded pretty good. It wasn't a dark horse, but it sounded pretty good. I just tripped on that concrete again. Every time I walk down the sidewalk, I trip on it. But basically, the landlord, and they gave us this letter, and it's time to renew. And we've asked about this before in the past, and they kind of ignored us. But I think they ignored us because they needed to get their game plan together. And essentially what it boils down to is, in my opinion, there's realistically no logical reason or argument behind why our cost of living, our rent, should increase. And I feel as though they agree, but they can't just come out flat out and tell you. They have to do it strategically. Therefore, they've manipulated the numbers on the rent, manipulated the numbers on the garage, manipulated the numbers on the amenities, manipulated numbers on the trash service. But at the end of the day, believe it or not, to renew, dun, 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 our rent price is lower. It is lower, as I suspected, as I expected, as I predicted. And I could probably go back and find some older videos where I had made this speculation. And here we are today, proven to be true. But guess what? There's a plot twist. And that plot twist is the fact that not only is our rent cheaper now, but it would be even cheaper given the opportunity, the option, if we so choose to accept, that we have never been given before, to not just sign a 12-month renewal, but to sign a 24-month renewal, therefore locking us in. Now, being locked in could be theoretically a really, really good thing. That is, expecting 2025 to introduce higher cost of living, which right now, I don't see that happening. However, on the flip side, inversely, if 2025 were to produce a much lower cost of living, we're still locked in at the theoretically higher rate based on future projections, not necessarily calculating current pricing. If that makes sense. But do we want to then lock ourselves into being here for another 2 years? And I don't think that that's necessarily exactly what we want to do. But what possible pricing can we expect a year from now if we decide we need to stay here for 2 years? And therein lies the conundrum. That's the $6 million question. And they know that, and they've done this on purpose. This is why they didn't originally respond to my email when I requested information about the future projections of pricing, because I knew that pricing needed to come down. I feel as though they agree, even though they don't flat out say it. If you add up the numbers, in total, it's all going down. Hey, it's 2024. Who doesn't want to see their cost of living decrease? I'm not upset about it, not at all. But where does that put us in the long term? Because even if we decide to take the 2-year option to save the most money possible, and we decide before 2 years it's time to move on, we're still going to be locked into an early termination fee, which would more than likely negate any savings and put us in a position of having incurred increased costs, therefore forcing us to ride it out and stay longer than we would really actually want to stay, just not to have to incur these additional costs to break the contract, break the lease early. And if you want to know what the price is for month to month, well, go ahead and take a seat, because it would be roughly 3 times more per month if you chose to go month to month. Absolutely insane, absolutely unbelievable, absolutely ridiculous. Therefore, that is not a feasible option. So we're looking at 12 months or 24 months, pretty much is what it boils down to. But either way, they've given us a serious bill of goods here to mull over and pick and choose and decide what we want to do, in addition to the overall impact that this will have on our businesses, i.e. content creation and channels and YouTube and videos, where I actually just came across a video tonight where my brother shared with me, and he says content creation is becoming the new 9-to-5 trap. Dun, dun, dun. Which I understand what he means by that. I really do. I think there's some other folks out there that probably understand what that means, probably more than I do, because I see them struggling to get views. And ultimately, struggling to get views means struggling to earn money. And when you don't have any third-party additional income revenue sources or sponsorships or affiliates or anything like that, then the views matter a lot. When you're doing it by yourself, possibly trying to manage more than one channel, neither one of them performing well, the views matter a lot. So yeah, it's an extreme challenge. But at the end of the day, you got to pick and choose what's going to be best for you, what's going to be best for your family, what's going to be best for your personal finances, what's going to be best for your future, what's going to be best for your bottom line. And you'll never know what the other path would have produced, because we only get the chance to go down one. We don't get A and B testing like we would prefer in the real life. We get just one choice, one chance, one shot. And from there, you then have to make the best of it. Potentially making the best of a good situation or making the best of a bad situation, however you want to look at it. But that's where we are today, folks. I appreciate you guys entertaining me here and letting me yap and get some of this stuff off my chest. I really look forward to reading you guys' comments and responses and opinions to the situation. Maybe you guys have been in a similar situation and you can relate. I know right now the overall economy isn't great. Michael Bordenero just shared how somewhere around like 4,600 businesses closed, stores closed in 2023, but ironically 5,500 I think opened as well. So it's a net positive, but what does that say about the overall state of the economy? Does that give you a warm and fuzzy for the future? And based on all that we have available to us, the information available to us, what we know, what we think, what we feel, what we've heard, history, trends, future predictions and projections, what do we do next?
I can tell you my problems, meditating my silence, but I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go fire.